following program is brought to you by friends and partners of End Time Headlines.
All right, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is End Time Headlines, news and headlines from a prophetic perspective. And it is Thursday night, the 21st of August, and we welcome to the program. I'm your host, Ricky Scaparo, the founder and the voice of End Time Headlines. Listen, before we get started, do us a favor. Please help us out by hitting that like button. It only takes a second or two of your time. By you hitting that like button, it's going to get eyes on our program. It's going to get other people acquainted with our ministry, and it's going to get the word out there on all these visual platforms. You guys listen by Apple or Spotify. If you enjoy our content, you can help us out by giving us a good review as well. If you're new to the program, first time joining us, we welcome you. Let us know in the comments that you are new and where you guys are tuning in from. Let me just read some of these headlines, and it's going to tell you where we're going tonight. All right, we've got a massive invasion of rats in California. We've got hordes of diseased mosquitoes that have in Vegas. We've got squirrels that are appearing with strange growths that are bursting open. We've got a mutant deer virus that is spreading across the nation, where these horrifying flesh bubbles are spotted on these deers. We have rabbits that are appearing with these strange growths that are appearing all over their body. We've got the discovery of a radioactive wasp nest that has sparked fears. The FDA sent out an urgent alert for radioactive shrimp to be recalled from Walmart. We've got an invasive tick disease that's a debilitating disease that's continuing to spread. We have deadly flesh-eating bacteria spreading across beaches in the United States. And then we just got the news that another resident, this one of Tahoe, has been officially diagnosed with the plague. What in the world is going on? We're going to break it all down for you tonight. Let's talk about this. Let's dig into these weird animal mutations and growths that are appearing on these animals. All right, look at this. Terrifying plague of zombie squirrels erupts as critters covered in oozing pus-filled sores are seen swarming gardens. A plague of terrifying zombie squirrels has gripped backyards across America. These squirrels may look cute with their big bushy tails on a good day, but these ones have been seen covered with ghastly pus tumors. Okay, here's a picture of this, guys. You guys watching a visual of this. Here's one of these squirrels that are covered with these pus-filled tumors. These grotesque sores make the animals look like something out of a zombie apocalypse. Pictures reveal that it shows them absolutely coated in these unsightly growths around their heads and limbs. Homeowners in the U.S. and Canada have spotted these disfigured rodents, leading to panicked speculation as to what's wrong with them. I'd love to hear your comments on this in the chat. Have you seen any of these squirrels where you live in your area that look like this right here? That has these, look at this, they're disfigured, they have these growths, they have these skin formations on them. Sightings of the diseased squirrels date as far back as 2023 in Maine. However, one Reddit user posted, at first I thought it was eating something from my front beds, but then I realized it was on its face. But while the descriptor of zombie squirrel has taken off online, wildlife experts think there's a, quote, specific condition they have. It's called squirrel fibromatosis and has been identified as the likely culprit, which is a skin condition that is caused by, and I'm going to try to pronounce this, let's see if we can get this to do this for us here, guys, so we don't slaughter this word here.
Leporpoxvirus.
There you go. It spreads through direct contact between healthy squirrels and the lesions of saliva on those that are infected. But it gets interesting, guys. I want to show you this. Then we have mutant deer with horrifying flesh bubbles spotted in multiple U.S. states as fears of an outbreak grip the nation. According to the report, deer across the U.S. have been spotted with tumor-like growths, same thing, hanging off their bodies, joining rabbits and squirrels as animals continue to show signs of widespread disease. What's going on here, guys? Are we under attack? Is this a biological attack? Has something been released? We're just talking tonight. I don't know. I'm asking the questions. Is this a judgment from God? Is this a plague, a pestilence? From the Northeast to the Pacific Northwest, pictures on social media continue to document cases of strange bubbles growing all over local deer. From their faces to their legs. Over the last 2 months, people have photographed deformed deer in New York, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Wildlife officials have already identified the condition as deer cutaneous fibroma, better known as deer warts. The condition is due to a virus transmitted between deer in all parts of the U.S., and experts have, quote, warned that it is spreading this summer. Guys, I've never heard, this is probably normal, maybe it is, but I remember growing up when I was 10 years old, 12 years old, 20, in my 20s, even in my 30s, I never heard of this. And I had friends of mine, and even family members that were big time deer hunters. Never heard of this. The condition is due to a virus transmitted again between the deer in all parts of the U.S., and experts have warned that it is spreading this summer. The virus mainly spreads through disease-carrying insects like mosquitoes and ticks, which pass on the blood of infected deer to healthy animals nearby. Since these potentially deadly pests breed and multiply in warmer weather, Americans should expect to see more cases of the condition wherever deer may live. They're telling us that we should expect to see more cases of this happening. Okay, then let's move on. Then you have this outbreak of, quote, Frankenstein rabbits with face tentacles now poses threats to humans. Doctors warn which state's disease will spread next.
There's something funny going on with bunnies in the state of Colorado.
Like a scabbyish looking kind of growth over her face.
Looks like it was black quills or black toothpicks sticking out all around his mouth.
Residents of Fort Collins spoke to Denver's 9 News about the shocking sight in which black tentacles appear to be growing out of the heads of cottontail rabbits.
More Frankenstein rabbits. So what do we got now, guys? We've got squirrels, we've got deers, we've got rabbits. What's the next animals? They're called Frankenstein rabbits, are appearing across the U.S., sparking fears of a wider outbreak. Originally spotted in Colorado, these bizarre rabbits with tentacle-like growths sprouting from their faces have now been reported in Minnesota, Nebraska, and South Dakota. Again, if we've got anybody in the chat listening tonight, YouTube, whatever, and you live in these 3 states and you've seen this, let us know in the chat. The animals are infected with a type of virus called CRPV, also known as, and let's just go ahead and do this again so it can pronounce this correctly.
Show papillomavirus,
which can be spread through mosquito and tick bites. Notice the common denominator here, guys. Anybody catching on here? All 3 of these animals, squirrels, the rabbits, and the deer, all contracting these viruses that are all being transmitted through ticks and mosquitoes. Again, are we under a biological attack? Has something been released in America that is an attack against our wildlife, against our food supply? I ask that because it's just getting more and more bizarre. Look at this. I'm going to show you this article. Watch out, this invasive tick. Watch out for this invasive tick. It could saddle you with a little known debilitating infection.
A tick-borne illness is being detected in California at an alarming rate. Experts say more than half of the state's counties are now considered high risk.
Your reporter Brady Halblife tells us why experts are now raising the alarm.
The disease is mainly showing up in dogs, and since dogs spend more time outside, rising cases in pets could signal that humans may soon be at greater risk.
A tiny insect causing a major concern. Ticks carrying a disease called anaplasmosis is spreading quickly throughout California.
There's not a lot of awareness about it in California because most people think that it's primarily a disease of the upper Midwest and the Northeast.
The culprit? The same western black-legged tick that spreads Lyme disease. In dogs, it can cause fever, fatigue, loss of appetite, and weight loss. And in some cases, dogs may get nosebleeds, neck pain, or even seizures.
So they just kind of look depressed, dull. They don't want to move. They have a fever. And sometimes they can even develop vomiting.
An invasive tick species is, quote, creeping its way into more parts of the country as warming temperatures help it spread a little-known infection that can leave people with debilitating symptoms and in rare cases, even death. In May, scientists at the Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station in New Haven discovered for the first time, that longhorned tick had become a carrier, are you hearing me, for the bacterium that causes the, here we go, we're going to pull this up again so we can get this correctly.
Ehrlichiosis infection.
Which case is already on the rise. That was a big cause of concern. Quote, I'm afraid to say that it is a storm brewing. According to the director of the lab's tick testing program, climate change eventually will almost eliminate winter in our region. And this tick, like other tick species, will, quote, be active year-round. So here we go, guys. They're blaming this on the CC word. Warming temperatures, which have already translated to shorter winters, allow the longhorn tick, and other tick species to, quote, wake up early from hibernation, increasing the risk of getting bitten. Apparently, it's not just the risk of us getting bitten, it's the risk of all the wildlife being bitten. The longhorn tick, which is native to East Asia, first invaded places like Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific Islands. It has now been detected in at least 21 states, with Michigan reporting its first sighting at the end of June. Researchers are not even sure how the tick made it to the United States. Again, it makes you wonder, guys, is this intentional? Is there something nefarious happening? But it's likely, quote, it arrived on the backs of imported livestock or animals. Did it, though? And the reason why I asked that is because, give me just a second here, guys. I want to pull this up. All right, meanwhile, a record-breaking number of mosquitoes are carrying West Nile virus around Las Vegas. All right, according to this report, a record-breaking number of mosquitoes in and around Las Vegas are carrying West Nile virus. And this is sparking warnings from local health officials who say that the public should take precautions to avoid getting bit. Again, West Nile virus can cause fever, headaches, vomiting, and diarrhea, and it is fatal in about 1 in 150 cases. There are no vaccines or medications to, quote, treat or prevent the mosquito-borne illness. In recent weeks, 169 of over 24,000 pools of mosquitoes tested for West Nile virus returned positive, meaning at least one insect in the pool carried the disease across 25 southern Nevada zip codes. The number of mosquitoes recorded and the tally of them as the positive pools this early in the season break the area's records. Look at that, for both metrics set in 2019. Quote, these are huge numbers of mosquitoes, and we've already identified a concerning number of them carrying the West Nile virus. This is according to an environmental health supervisor for the Southern Nevada Health District. Meanwhile, in South Carolina, you want to talk about a bizarre headline. Radioactive wasp nest, have sparked demand for answers at South Carolina's Savannah River site.
Well, here's a headline that sparked some interest. Radioactive wasps on the loose in South Carolina. Pretty scary, right? Earlier this month, workers at the Savannah River site, where America's nuclear bombs used to be made, came across a wasp nest. And the discovery started a whole chain reaction of events. Because of the nest location right next to tanks where nuclear waste is stored, workers felt compelled to test the wasp nest to see if it was radioactive, and what they discovered nearly blew them away. That nest was 10 times any acceptable level of radiation. And rather than just glow with the flow and let them be. The nest was sprayed with insecticide, bagged up and taken away, but the wasps themselves, nowhere to be found. So now it begs the question, how did the nest become contaminated in the first place, and where are the wasps? Well, the organization overseeing the site insists there are no leaks and that the wasps wouldn't have been able to fly too far from the site anyway. But still, a local watchdog group says something doesn't add up, and there needs to be a detailed report stating how exactly the wasps came into contact with radiation. Maybe it was something they ate. We hear fish and chips is a local delicacy this time of year.
So far, officials with Savannah Riverside has issued a basic statement saying that 4 different wasp nests were found on a post near a highly contaminated section of the property last month. But they have said there is, quote, no threat to the public. They said that wasps were lightly contaminated and were unlikely to spread toxins off the 310 square mile site. This is a picture of the area that you're seeing here. Still plenty of questions remain, including the types of radioactive material found in the nest. Look at that. Types of radioactive material found in. This is straight out of guys, this has the hallmarks of the making of the greatest sci-fi movies that you could ever watch. You have radioactive wasp nests, meaning you have radioactive wasp. They sting people. What's going to happen to them? This is unbelievable. I mean, again, the lines between fiction and reality are becoming blurred every day when we do these podcasts. There's insufficient information to really kind of determine the risk and the hazards. Well, that's going to make us really sleep well at night. There's insufficient information to really kind of determine the risk or the hazards. This is according to the University of South Carolina's biologist, who has extensive experience studying the effects of radioactivity on plants and animals around the world. Based on the SRS answers, for instance, it's not clear whether the wasp nests were contaminated by a new leak at the weapons complex. A new leak could indicate emerging contamination threats that need to be addressed. We're talking about stuff that can produce stuff like Plum Island stuff off New York, like freakish events. Do y'all know any? If you don't know the backstory on that, let me tell you a little bit about that. This location called Plum Island is located off the coast of Long Island, New York, and it has been a key U.S. federal research facility since 1954. Its whole focus was on studying foreign animal diseases to protect livestock and agricultural economy. In other words, they did disease research and vaccine development. So in this location, again, off the coast of Long Island, New York, they carried out foot and mouth disease experiments. Again, we're talking about disease research, vaccine development in the area of foot and mouth disease, the African swine fever. Also, there were studies of over 40 foreign animal diseases, including classical swine fever. Experiments typically involve controlled infections in livestock to understand disease progression, test diagnostic tools, and develop countermeasures like vaccines or antivirals. And because of this, guys, all these animals were found washed ashore that were mutated. There were mutations from this. In fact, there is research that they actually carried out bioweapons research development there. Wow. So again, we're living in weird and strange times. Look at this. Yesterday, rather, yet another individual in the U.S. has tested positive for the bubonic plague. This one is in Tahoe, a Tahoe resident. El Dorado County health officials have confirmed that a South Lake Tahoe resident has been tested positive for plague. The individual who is recovering at home under the care of medical professional is believed to have been infected by a flea. Look at another insect infection, another disease, a plague, a pestilence that's being spread by insects. The report says they were infected by a flea while camping in the area. Again, plague is naturally present in many parts of California, including higher elevation areas of El Dorado County. Again, I want to ask you a question, guys. Maybe I'm the only one. I just don't remember all this growing up. We never heard about this stuff. Camping, the risk of getting all these crazy, strange, bizarre diseases and plagues and mutations and animals contracting all these things. I don't know. Maybe was I sheltered? Come on, let me know in the chat, because I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to be alone and didn't hear about this. Speaking of, look at this. Here's another thing that's bizarre and it's caught my attention. Deadly flesh-eating bacteria continues to spread across beaches across the United States. And they're calling it a, quote, terrifying rise of cases. The threat posed by flesh-eating bacteria. Again, never heard of this stuff. I mean, every now and then, you may have heard of this stuff 20, 30 years ago, but goodness gracious. The threat of flesh-eating bacteria lurking on beaches and in rivers this summer is looming larger by the week as cases climb into the double digits and deaths are following suit.
Florida health officials say at least 5 people have died from a so-called flesh-eating bacteria.
Lifelong Florida boat captain George Billeris, a third-generation sponge fisherman, says he is lucky to be alive. Vibrio vulnificus, the so-called flesh-eating bacteria lurking in warm ocean waters, like those along Florida's Gulf Coast, nearly killed him.
Well, I started to get chills. I started to get feverish. My leg was swelling. It was burning.
Billeris was fishing with his grandson back in July 2019. The two were wading in the water when he contracted the bacteria, Vibrio vulnificus, from a cut he had in his back leg.
Did you have a large cut? I mean, was this like an open wound? What did you have?
No, actually, the only thing I had on this leg was just a little tiny scab.
His leg was at risk of being amputated. At the hospital, doctors used a marker to track the spread of the bacteria. After 3 weeks of treatment, the infection subsided. According to the CDC, about 1 in 5 people with the bacteria died.
With warming waters, we are seeing Vibrio vulnificus cases further north and up the Atlantic coast.
In recent years, cases have been reported in the Carolinas, Connecticut, and New York. This year, there have been 17 cases in Louisiana, 16 in Florida, and 7 in North Carolina alone. Florida has reported 5 deaths, the most of any state.
Maybe I'm out here on a limb again, because I remember being a teenager and we swam in ditches. We played out in the water. We swam in rivers. We swam in lakes. We swam in ponds. We had cuts on us. We had sores on us. We did all this stuff. Never heard of this stuff. Never. I'm not saying it wasn't around, because it probably was, but nowhere on this level. Health experts warn the bug can cause everything from nasty bouts of stomach illness to dangerous wound infections, and in the most severe cases, it can trigger life-threatening blood poisoning. The bacteria's steady rise is, experts believe, a consequence. Here it is again, guys. You want to guess what they're going to say it is. Ready? A consequences of warming waters from, you guessed it, CC. We're not going to say the word, because if we say the word, then YouTube finds it necessary to put a disclaimer up and a note there on our account. And I don't want that. So we're just going to call it CC. The bacteria thrive in waters between 68 degrees Fahrenheit and 95 degrees Fahrenheit. These temperatures are becoming more common as the planet warms and as ocean temperatures rise. So again, according to what they're saying, this is the new normal. The new normal. Meanwhile, so we have radioactive wasp nest and wasp. Then the FDA, and how many, and here's another thing that I've noticed. Anybody noticed how many recalls there are on foods? I mean, you can't go a week without 1,000 pounds of this or or so many tons of this being recalled in the meat, beef, poultry, all of this stuff. And by the way, I just have a question. I just want to ask a question. There's 2 questions that I have always on the forefront of my mind that nobody seems to answer for me. Ready? The first one Now, this has no relation to this, but I just thought about this. The first question is, you remember when Russia and Ukraine first went to war? We saw every detail imaginable in that war that was going on. I'm telling you, a soldier on the field would sneeze and they'd have a camera on that and we would catch the breeze. I mean, everything that went on there. Now, all of a sudden, have you noticed that we don't see a single thing going on there? No footage, no video reels, no images. A lot of the images that are circulated out there are from when the war first began, and they're recycled. I'm just saying, it's bizarre, but everything that happens in Israel, we had live video cameras on there in Gaza. We had them in Jerusalem. We had them in Israel. We had them in the West Bank. We had all these things, even in Iran. Cameras everywhere, news media, etc. But with Russia and Ukraine, after about a year into that, it was a complete blackout. And now you hear about these record number of drone strikes against Russia. And then Russia carries out a record attack against Ukraine, yet no video footage. Just makes you wonder. And the second thing that I think is bizarre is what happened to the bird flu virus. Remember all the scientists, remember all the virologists and the experts were saying that we are on the very precipice and on the brink of an outbreak, of another pandemic, and the bird flu is spreading and it's shutting down the poultry industry, and they're calling all these birds and the turkeys and the chickens and this, and it was causing absolute chaos, and people were sounding alarms, and then it was like you woke up the next day and it's gone. No media outlets, no video footage, no journalists, no records of it, no articles, no breaking news, nothing is being said about it. It's bizarre, it's weird, it's strange. And now we're just getting all of these recalls on food. Everything from poultry to beef to everything. Look at this. FDA warns, have you ever heard such a thing? Look at this. The FDA is warning public not to eat possibly radioactive shrimp sold at Walmart. Now, if you go read the comments on this on our Facebook page, it's actually kind of funny because people were commenting saying, well, who eats shrimp at Walmart anyway? Guys, we don't even eat shrimp at our house. This is like one of the forbidden foods that we don't touch. Don't get me started on that. We don't eat any of the foods from the arachnopod. I think that's what it's called, if I'm not mistaken. From that family of the scavengers of the ocean. We don't eat crab. We don't eat shrimp. We don't eat lobster. We don't eat crawfish. We don't eat any of this stuff. But nevertheless, because it's just nasty anyway. Do you realize what's at the bottom of these ponds and lakes and seas and oceans that you're eating when it gets into the meat? When they're the scavengers and they're cleaning the bottom of the oceans and the lakes and the rivers and the streams, and then you're eating that and it's going to your flesh. But nevertheless, the Food and Drug Administration is warning the public not to eat, sell, or even serve certain great value raw frozen shrimp sold at Walmart due to possible contamination with cesium-137, which is a radioactive isotope. Let's do this right now. Okay, according to Google, or should I say AI overview, because AI is completely taking over everything and even your search engines, cesium-137 is a radioactive isotope known for its use in medical devices and industrial gauges, but also as a byproduct of nuclear reactions. What? It is produced by nuclear fission and can be found in the environment from nuclear testing and accidents. Wait, what? So, wait a minute. The question I would have is, where does Walmart get their frozen shrimp from? Now, here we go. Let's pull out the tin foil and let's make us a little hat here. You do realize that there was speculation when that 8.8 earthquake struck off the coast of Russia. Consequently, that happened right around the same time frame that Trump was making threats against Russia, telling them to basically capitulate and make a peace plan or make something and come to the agreement table, or else there will be consequences. And literally the next day, this 8.8 earthquake struck off the coast of Alaska. off the coast of Russia. But then Putin was scheduled to come to Alaska, which he did. But literally days before he came, there was another disaster that took place off the coast of Alaska, which caused a tsunami there in Alaska. Now, well, the reason why I'm breaking this up is if you go to some forums out there, whether it's Reddit forums or blogs or whatever the case may be, some people has questioned, was there a nuclear test that was detonated that triggered the earthquake off the coast of Russia? That's A. Or B, was one of their main nuclear bases that's there in Russia, was it damaged, kind of like the Fukushima plant in Japan in 2011 when the earthquake and tsunami struck there? And remember, if you guys have a good memory and you were keeping up with the news and stuff back then, you'll remember when that disaster struck and the Fukushima plant began to have a meltdown, there was radioactive material that was pouring into the ocean, and we had all kinds of bizarre things happening to the sea life. There was fish washing up with 3 eyes. There was all kinds of these grotesque tumors and sores and lesions all over the aquatic life and the sea life and everything. Hello. And now, isn't it just interesting? I'm just throwing this out there, guys. You can do what you want with it, but I just think it's interesting. All of a sudden, we have an explosion of animals, from squirrels to deers to rabbits, and God only knows what else out there that is producing these bizarre growths and tumors and lesions. But of course, we're being told, well, hey guys, this is just a virus and it's all normal and it's spread through ticks and mosquitoes. I don't know. I'm just saying, I've never seen anything such as this going on. Then, last but not least, I want to take you to New York City. I'm sure you guys have heard what's going on over there. And of course, I'm talking about this. Look at this headline. I'm going to read this. Deadly vapor claims 5th Manhattan victim. Doctors list a no-go areas. They're even listing no-go areas in Manhattan, in parts of New York, and reveal mind-altering symptoms that mimic the flu but can kill in days. Of course, we're talking about Legionnaire's disease. New York has recorded a 5th death and here it is, a deadly outbreak of Legionnaire's disease, a lung infection spread by toxic water vapor, sparking fears of more victims across the city.
The air is thick in central Harlem Thursday night, but as the humidity drops, anxiety is still high over the largest Legionnaire's outbreak in a decade.
I was first diagnosed on July 24th.
Nicole Ingram was among the first to contract the disease in this cluster in late July. She's home from the hospital but still suffering with symptoms. Her 35-year-old son remains hospitalized and nearly died.
He did not flatline, but he came very close to it. They had to intubate him. He had a life-saving machine.
She was stunned to hear Harlem Hospital was one of a dozen buildings spreading bacteria from their cooling towers. Among the infected locations, a city health clinic, a popular retail center on 125th Street, a CUNY College science building, and a Harlem condo center on Lenox Avenue. All have been contained and cleaned, the city says.
I want to reassure everyone the air is safe to breathe, and there is no risk to our drinking water.
Health officials urge people who are sick to get tested, just like the cooling towers, which under city law are sampled every 90 days.
The city announced this past Monday that since an outbreak, they're calling this an outbreak, in late July, 108 people have been infected with this, which is a type of pneumonia that spreads through, quote, bacteria lurking in warm water. How about that? Wow. This disease mimics the flu before progressing to pneumonia, with patients suffering symptoms such as high fever, breathing trouble, and even mental confusion. These cases are up from 99 cases last week, a 9% increase. Hospitalizations are down from 17 to 14. Now, guys, this also comes on the brink of, remember what was happening in China that we reported a couple weeks ago? That they had another outbreak. and it was a type of, if I remember right, it was in a type of a disease that was spread through mosquitoes. And Chinese officials was carrying out pandemic-like lockdowns. It was very reminiscent of 2020. They were locking down entire locations. They were quarantining people. They were shutting off locations. Hospitals were being filled and infections were spreading. And again, I haven't heard anything yet. And it's went silence in China, but that was 2 weeks ago. Now, what's going on now? So it's amazing how you hear this stuff and then this drops off the cliff and you don't hear anything anymore. But what am I talking about? I'm talking about strange, bizarre things that are happening. Are you paying attention to what's going on? And Jesus said in Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21, that in the last days there will be pestilences, plural tense. And in the Greek, it literally means a disease that leads unto death. And here we are. We're seeing this. And it's not just one thing here, one thing there, one thing here. We're seeing the most bizarre, strange, crazy headlines. In at least my 48 years of living on this earth, I've never seen and heard such things, ever. And from the bacteria of the water infections to these strange things happening to these animals. So again, guys, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Love to hear your thoughts in the comments, in the chat. Let me know, have you seen any of these animals? Have you seen the squirrels? Have you seen the rabbits? Have you seen the deers in your region, in your area that has these growths, has these tumors? Do you know anybody that's dealing with these flesh-eating bacteria in the beaches and so on and so forth, or anything that we've talked about on this podcast today? So we'd appreciate that. Now let me go back. I want to close with this. Okay, let's go back over here. Let's open the Bible here. Let's go to the book of Psalms chapter 91. Remember at the very introduction of this, I said, become acquainted with this passage. And the psalmist said, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. And I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, and in him I will trust. Look at verse 3. Surely he shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid. Somebody say, I will not be afraid. Come on, just type it out in the chat. Of the terror by night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness. You know what that means? You know what when the psalmist said, the pestilence that walks in darkness, it means I will not be afraid of the thing that I cannot see. Friends, you can't see a bacteria unless you're under a microscope. Come on, y'all hearing me? So we can sit around and fear something that we cannot see, or we can put our faith and trust in the Lord, who says that I will keep you, I will preserve you, and I will protect you. Come on, somebody. In Jesus' name. Why? Because we have made the Lord, who is our refuge, even the Most High, our dwelling place, and no evil shall befall us, nor shall any plague come near our dwelling, for he shall give his angels charge over us. Come on, somebody, to keep us in all of our ways, and in their hands they shall bear us up, lest we dash our foot against a stone. The Lord has given us authority to tread upon the lion, the cobra, the young lion, and the serpent shall be trampled under our feet, because he has set his love up, because we've set our love upon him. Therefore the Lord shall deliver us. And I love this. Let's go down here. Watch this. The Lord says, he shall call upon me, and I will answer him, and I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. So guys, we want to leave you with good news today. The bad news is, and if you're on the wrong side of the track, the bad news is it's only going to get worse. We're in perilous times, troubling times, distressful times. We're getting ready to enter into what's called Jacob's trouble. We're getting ready to enter into the tribulation period. And Jesus said if those days had not been shortened, no flesh would survive. But the good news is, if you're on the right side of the track, you're born again, your name is in the registry of heaven, you have a covenant with God, then Jesus said, when you begin to see all of these things coming to pass, look up and lift up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. My goodness, friend, if you have a covenant with God, you're born again, get in your prayer closet, get covered in prayer, declare the promises of God, and declare that no evil shall befall me and no plague shall come nigh thy dwelling, for me and my house. Come on, we shall serve the Lord. Hallelujah. Come on, do you receive that today? So listen, guys, again, endtimeheadlines.org, endtimeheadlines.com. I so much appreciate you guys coming out on this Thursday night to be a part of the podcast. Again, if you'd like to keep up with all of our headlines, if you don't want to miss a single thing we put out, download our free app available on Apple and Android devices. You can pick it up today at your Play Store, depending on your device. Once you download it, you can hit yes to push notifications and you're squared away. You're good to go. Breaking news, prophecy updates, headlines, everything will be right there at your fingertips. And as always, if you find these podcasts beneficial to you, they bless you, they inform you, they keep you up to par with the times and seasons in which we're in and how to prepare. You and your family, your neighbors, your coworkers, you use these as evangelical tools to reach the lost, whatever the case may be. We would love for you guys to pray about becoming a monthly partner and support our ministry. And you can do that two different ways. You can give electronically through the app, through the website, various ways of doing that, or you can give by check or money order right there on your screen. End Time Headlines, P.O. Box 1391, Monroe, Georgia, 30655. So guys, we're going to sign off for tonight. We plan on, Lord willing, be right back here in the studio and be with you guys on tomorrow night, on Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. So until we see you on the next one, I pray the Lord bless you, keep you, and may his countenance shine upon you. We'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to the End Time Headlines podcast. We pray that you've been blessed and equipped by today's message. For more information about how you can help partner with our ministry, please visit endtimeheadlines.org.